What's up everybody, this is Go Radio Gaming, and today we are trying to make a mega city in Transport Fever 2. So I've always wanted to experiment with how big you could possibly grow a city in Transport Fever 2 under the perfect conditions. So we started off with 108 civilians in this city of Patterson, and what I did immediately is I deleted a bunch of roads and I expanded them to 2 lanes on each side to alleviate any kind of traffic. I set up bus systems. As you can see below, you can see a few icons for the buses, and I set up a freight railroad that runs into town at 2 locations with a yard you can see in the upper right corner. So this city has all the cargo it could ever need. It has as perfect as you can get as transportation, and as you can see, we're in 6 times speed. The city is growing rapidly. The goal is to do a little mini series of just trying to make the biggest cities possible. There's only this city on this map, and my whole goal is just to continually expand the freight and any kind of passenger service, whether it be buses, any kind of cargo service, whether it be trains and buses. And we're really just trying to see how massive we can make this. So very quickly this city grew. Within 15 minutes is basically what you're seeing here. What helps is a very good rail network with plenty of trains coming in and out. As you notice, there are freight trains coming in and out. I'm using American freight trains, so we're using the well cars or the double stacks, so it has a very high capacity for being such a short train. So there's plenty of cargo coming into the city. There's 2 routes, as you can see, they split off there at the yard I mentioned earlier. The trains coming into the city drop off cars there. As you can see, we already got up to 801 population, and the charts were just skyrocketing. It's fun to play around with this and try to see, because there's a few times where I plateau, as you'll see coming up, where maybe it stops growing or it stops growing as quickly. So then, as you can see down here, I added a 3rd line coming in to the city, because as it expands, the volume of freight gets spread out across the city, so then you need to create other points. As you can see here, I'm expanding my bus line system to transport people around the city, and this immediately helps as it starts growing already. I start running freight, as you can see lower on the screen, to the 3rd line, as we have commercial buildings plopping up now on what we'll call the east side of town, the west side of town being the top of the screen. I set up a passenger station for commuter trains. You can see the left bottom side of the screen. And this was, as the city grew, I wanted to create a passenger train service on the outskirts of the town so that the buses didn't have to be heavily relied on as the traffic got worse. So here I'm creating that. I made a little cutoff to my rail yard so I can create trains out of there, and then I electrified the rail, as I thought this would be a little different from what I typically do. Typically I just run American diesel trains, no electric, but I thought this would be different. So now that I added trucks also, so I deliver freight on this 3rd line, and now I got trucks delivering to various locations throughout the city. And the passenger line, you can see that the city just starts exploding. Quickly we reached about 900 population, but it kind of plateaued, which is why I added the third rail line. I added some trucking connected to that third rail line, and then I created that electric passenger service going on the outside of the town, and that really exploded this thing. So we quickly peaked over 1,000, and you'll see at the end of this video shortly what the end number will be. This is a fun experiment, as you're always having to try to keep up or trying to think of ways, because it does plateau. The cities do kind of level off, and then you have to get creative with, okay, what can I do to keep it going, right? We don't want it to plateau. We just want to build and build and grow and grow. So there's a lot of little tricks. Obviously, a good bus line is great. I think the passenger line around the outside of the city is essential. Various different freight lines going into the city, placed strategically where cargo is needed, is super important. And it seems like I have a pretty good setup as of now, as you can see how rapidly it's been growing. Now, this was only me playing basically a 2-hour session. Most of it's just sped up. So once I would implement some things, I just kind of sit back and see what the town would do, and then I would react accordingly. But I highly suggest you guys try this out, and you try various different methods. If you guys have YouTube channels, try these methods, throw them up on YouTube, and let me know. I'd love to see your videos as well. It's a fun experiment, and once I am leveled out, once I feel like I can't grow this town anymore, I will upload this map into the Steam Workshop so anybody can enjoy it and see, hey, can you guys take it beyond what I was able to do. But for now, I'm going to continue to work on it. This will probably be a multiple part series, so stay tuned. We'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, comment. Throw some comments down there in the video of what you guys do that help the cities grow, or any tips and tricks that you guys have learned that I may not be aware of. Typically, I use a railroad heavy on my maps, as I'm a former railroader here in the United States. But this time, I just want to make a mega city. So let's see how big we can make this over time. Just giving a nice little view. The city has grown so much from what we started in just a couple hour period. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. We're going to look at some stats here. These skyscrapers are just taking off. You can see all the little depots and stations I have, and look at that, the population, 1876. So once I added those third rail line, trucking, more buses, the passenger rail line around the city, it just took off.